Okay, so to make a two-colored bow with satin ribbon, we start off by just unrolling out some ribbon. You want to overlap them. And then I used a 10-inch ribbon tail board to make this one, which means my bow is going to end up being 5 inches. It's going to end up having 5-inch loops. I think in my previous video I showed you how that you could, or I talked about how you could just use a piece of cardboard cut to the size that you want, and then you just start wrapping it around. For this particular bow, I went around 10 times, and having two colors, that means I'm going to have double the amount of loops. So 10 rotations gave me plenty of loops. You can see it starts to twist up, so you have to make sure you're straightening it out as you're wrapping around either your piece of cardboard or your ribbon tail board like I'm using here. I stopped and paused a minute because I lost count. Alright, then I'm ready to cut. I had my 10 total rotations. I had them pretty tight around the board, so it was a little difficult to slide them off. This part is much easier using a piece of cardboard because the cardboard will give a little bit, but this ribbon tail board's not giving any. So you see me struggling here for a second trying to get it out, but I'll get it out. And I just loosened up on the ribbon a little bit. I was able to slide it out. And then use my hands to gather and back up. And so now I'm going to cut some ribbon for the tail. And you cut that to your desired length. Alright, and I'm just going to add my tails. Get them centered and get them added on to the center of my folds. Alright, now you see me gathering it. And I'm going to take and I'm going to fold these folds in half. And I'm going to prepare it to put my wire in. Now there's two ways to do this. You can cut slits on either side, or it works out better if you take your scissors and go at it at an angle. And you're going to cut that ribbon down in the center, kind of like a V on both sides. I had to use my mega scissors. This can be difficult to cut. Alright. And so what that does is, again, it creates an indentation for you to put your wire in. You don't want to get that indentation too small that your ribbon is hanging on by a thread and it'll break. But if it's too wide, then you're not able to get that wire clamped down good enough on it, because you want that center to be tight. It makes fluffing it a whole lot easier when you can get that center. Find that perfect spot where that center is not too small that your ribbons are going to break because they're hanging on by a thread, or too wide that you can't cinch down on that wire. So you'll see me rotate my wire. You may have some short pieces. I had some short pieces. I just pulled them to the side. And then just like you're making your bows with one color, you're just going to start rotating, pulling one loop to you and one loop away. I started off here rotating from side to side. It's been a while since I've made one of these bows, but it works out better if you're pulling from the same side. You'll see me correct myself. So I just start pulling one towards me, one away from me, and I sped it up here a little bit. So this is me just fluffing those bows. And you'll see that I'm reaching down and I'm pulling at the center of that. You want to make sure that you are getting a good handle on the center of that loop and pulling, or not the center of the loop, but the bottom of the loop, and that you're pulling all of that out towards you. That really helps define your loops. You pull down and pull away, one towards you, one away from you. And then when you finish that side, you flip over and grab your other loops and you begin to do the same thing. You want to make sure that you're not pulling all your greens towards you and all your blues away from you, or vice versa. Make sure that you're rotating those colors, that you're getting some of those colors towards you and behind you. And again, you make sure when you go to twist that you're twisting at the bottom of that loop and you're pulling all of it with you. You see me doing like a twisting motion. I'm pulling and I'm twisting. That helps define that loop. And it helps give that loop a definite place. If not, what happens, you end up with like a large loop with a bunch of loops inside of it, instead of each one of them having its own defined spot. This ribbon is very forgiving, so once you finish rotating your loops out, if you see any issues, you can go in and reach down at the center or the middle of that bow and gather and twist and move loops into positions that you want them. But it's very easy. It's very similar to making the one color, just doubling up your ribbon.